So I just got in the Bul Armory SAS 2. This has the comp on the front of it. Now today these are coming with rear sights on them, but there are two screws in here you pull out and you can put your plate on, and this plate is made for an RMSC shield to go on it, or you can run one of these small Wrighton optics on here. Now the way this goes on is there's a little dimple here that fits in the top of your slide and holds it on. You got 4 nodules back here, and you have 4 holes in the bottom of your optic that fit right in place. See that seamless, snug fit right there on it? I'm just not a big fan of having your battery exposed here and all this electrical stuff exposed. So I'm not going to run this Wrighton on here. I don't have a shield, but what I do have is a Holosun. And I love Holosun optics. I'm a huge Holosun fan, and they don't send me anything or give me any products. I buy everything that I use and do myself. But here's the problem with mounting the Holosun, and this is the HS507K X2. This is the Holosun mini reflex sight here. So it's got a 32-inch circle with a 2-inch red dot in the middle. I really like that because I can find this optic really fast, or the red dot in the optic really fast. The problem is this sits on the gun like this and has 4 nodules on it. The Holosun only has 2 holes. It does fit in the front here, but look here in the back how it's raised up. So it won't go all the way on. Now, I am going to take my Dremel or my file, whichever, and I'm going to grind these 2 little nodules off the back of this plate. You can still use this to mount your RMSC or a Wrighton on there, because you'll still have the front 2 and your screws will go in here and hold it down. So Holosun's been around a long time. Holosun only has the 2 holes in the front to anchor it in place. I don't see that I'm going to have any issues doing this. I have done this to my XD Mod 2 and a 45, my XDS Mod 2 and a 45. I cut the rear nodules actually off the back of the gun so that I could mount this optic on there. I did that. It's been a long time since I did it, and it's holding no problem at all on the gun. But let's get started. We want to mount this on here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our rear sights off the gun, right? So we'll just take this guy right here, and this tool that comes from Holosun fits right in there, and it pulls the rear sights off. Your rear sights are captured on your gun, and this gun is unloaded, no ammunition in the area here. So you have to back these screws out a little bit at a time, because these are captured screws and they kind of get stuck as you start backing them out, because this thing gets crooked. So you just have to do a little bit and a little bit to take these out. There we go. And like I say, your screws are captured, so they're not going to fall out of there. Now, I took this off last night. There was a lot of oil and grease in here, a lot of grease on these screws. I cleaned these out. I used a little brake cleaner, put it on my Q-tip, got in here and cleaned these out really well. I cleaned this out really well because I'm going to take it to the range and shoot it with the rear sights, and then I'm going to attach the optic at the range. And you don't want to put your screws, here's your screw that comes from Holosun. See how it's got Loctite on it? You don't want to put those Loctite screws into a hole here on the gun that's filled with grease and oil. So I just went ahead and cleaned that up to get that part out of the way. So how does your plate go on? You see this little hole in the front right here? They have a single notch in the front of your plate, and it sits right in there, matches right up. So it sits right in that notch. It's nice and flush fit there. And then your 2 screws would come in through the back. So we are only going to use these front notches to hold our Holosun on, and we're going to grind these 2 rear notches off. Now, you do not want to make a mistake doing this. I suggest fitting this on here and then marking these rear screws or these rear nodules that you're going to take off, because you don't want to get this thing, get flipped around and forget and cut these off up here. You take these off up here, you're going to have a problem. So I'm going to take these rear ones off. Now, I do not suggest that you do this at home. For me, I don't have an issue doing it. I do all kind of stuff to guns to improve them in my eyes and make them perform a little bit better. But I'm going to take these off and we're going to run it and see how it does. We got our piece mounted in the vise here. I'm going to turn it here to angle so I can work with it a little bit easier. So we've got a small grinding tool on the end of our Dremel, and we're just going to use that to work these ends off right here. So let's get started with it. Wear safety glasses while you're doing this. So you don't want to touch this with your hands because of course it's going to be very hot at first. So we're going to let that cool, and aluminum black touch-up pen for scratches. We're going to put a little bit of this on it. Now you can take the time to paint this if you want to. Get a good coat of paint on it, let it dry and work with it. I am not that concerned about it. It is not going to rust or deteriorate. And we'll just let that dry. All right, I am not actually going to screw this Holosun down right now, but I'm going to put it on here and show you that it does attach and work. These are the bigger screws that come with your Holosun when you get it. That is the screw that has the proper thread to go into the slide of this firearm. But let's set this up here and show you guys how it's going to work. Now remember, you have your single little notch here, goes right into your gun. So just set it up there. All you gotta do is line the screw holes up in the back. That goes right into position there. And your Holosun Optic will now sit right on top. Drops right into place. Well, I say that, now that I look, there's a little tiny gap right here around it, where the notches on the top here are a little too tall for this to go inside of. So these need to be thinned down a little bit right across the top. So I'm going to take a little bit off the top of these so it fits in there nice and snug. So let's get it back in the vise. Let's take the top off this. Won't take but a second. Okay, you can see by the coloration we took just a little bit off the tops here. Let's see if that's going to snug up to it now. And that did it. You see the nice fit across there? Nice seam, how it sealed up. So that's all we had to do. I just took a little bit off. Remember, you can always take a little bit, check it, and take a little bit more on it. But looks like that's going to do it. So we're going to grab our pen back out and color these real quick. And again, none of this can be seen. It's all up underneath the optic. There we go. We'll let that dry. There we go. So look at the fit now. Look how tight it is, how it's sealed and seamed up all the way across. That's what we're looking for in it, okay? And can I still see the front sights? Yes. I can still pick up the front sights, just a little bit of the top of the front sights, but I can pick them up through the rear sights in this optic. So I'm still able to use my iron sights on the gun as backup for this optic on here. So that's what it's going to look like with it on. So let's put the rear sights back on. get this thing ready to head to the range so that we can shoot it and test it out there at the range. Let's head out to the range and test this thing. Don't push your responsibility as an adult off onto a child. Buy gun locks and gun safes. Till next time, folks. Take care.